All right. Okay. So what we are going to learn today is about a master. Okay, about a master. He is the first modern, you can say, effective world champion. Okay,
Hi
world.
sir, sorry for joining late.
No problem. We are just starting. Okay, great. So what we are going to look at is, as part of our chess journey, we also need to look at who are the old masters of chess, right? And the best way to look at it maybe to look at the world champions, right? Now world championship, as you know, I think this year it is going to happen. 2021, last year it did not happen. It got pushed due to COVID. It is going to happen. And you know who is in the final chess world championship match, who is going to play against whom?
Magnus?
Magnus.
Carlsen and Ian. Vishy.
Not Vichy. It is the opponent is Ian Nepomniachtchi. He's a Russian.
And it's Magnus Carlsen versus Ian Nepo, right?
Yeah, Ian Nepo. Nepo is actually short name. Nepomniachtchi is his full name. He's a Russian grandmaster. They are going to play in Dubai.
Yeah, I can't say his last name. It's too long.
Yeah, it's too long. So they are going to play in Dubai. Okay, and it will be very interesting. I think all of you should be watching those games live. Okay.
So can you send it to us so we can see it?
Of course, I will send it. Of course, I will send it.
Chess.com and Lichess are probably gonna live stream it.
Yeah. I think there will be multiple. There will be half a dozen live streams will be going on. It will be on Twitch also. It will be on YouTube also. Wherever.
Yes, sir. There are many grandmasters also who are not known, but they stream it.
Yes. Correct. Okay. Now, but if you see the history of the World Championship, officially it started in 1886, and there was a gentleman named Wilhelm Steinitz who became the first official world champion. Okay, but that happened in 1886, more than 135 years ago. Okay, but we are going even before that. We are going to look at it from the 19th century. Okay, 19th century, the first really kind of, you can say, again it is unofficial, but one long series of games took place between a British master, Alexander McDonnell, and a French master. They were the two best players at that time. And over a period of some 6 years or so, they played 100 or more than 100 games, okay, against each other. So that can be considered by some people as the starting point of the World Championship concept. Okay, and that time the French player La Bourdonnais, or I don't know how to pronounce it even better, but La Bourdonnais probably, but very long spelling, French spelling. So he defeated the English master. I'm freezing. Just 1 second. Let me see, because I am on a mobile network. Let me see if I can switch to.
You can turn off your video.
Yeah, I will turn off my video, but I think my network is back, so I will just switch to my broadband from my mobile. Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can we have arena streaks in tournaments?
Arena streaks. No. We cannot have arena streaks. Let me I will stop my video first. Okay. No, I will answer that separately why it is no. Okay. But let us first focus on the thing. So this is what happened in 1834. Okay. That long match, it happened. Okay. Now, after that, in 1851, there was a great London tournament that took place. And it was like all the chess masters from various countries were invited. And that has been considered as the first great tournament. Okay, 1851. Okay. And the British master who organized it, Howard Staunton, he himself expected himself to win. He was a very good player, no doubt. And he was thinking that he is the world champion. He will, after this his previous generation, that McDonnell and La Bourdonnais had kind of retired, and now at the next level had come in. So in 1851, he expected to win, but a German master, okay, kind of unknown at that point of time, Adolf Anderssen, he came, he participated in that tournament, and he actually won that tournament. Okay, so that is when everybody became it was a great tournament. and the first great tournament he won it. So effectively he became like, okay, he has beaten all the best players in the world. Okay, but still the tournament was a knockout tournament, so it is not that he played against everybody, etc., like in a knockout, right, like tennis, etc. So then so there were again there were after that some tournament cycle started. Okay, 1857 there was a tournament, 1859 there was, 1860, 62, etc. So all, most of them actually, Adolf Anderson was winning those tournaments. Okay, and that is how we consider him as the first unofficial world champion. Okay, official, not official, but unofficial world champion. Okay, and his games are brilliant combinations. They are fun to watch. Okay, I'm going to send you one video link also. Okay, after this class, so you can watch it. Okay, and as someone said, I had posted the video of my previous L3 class. I have covered these two games, game number 1 and 2. Okay, so you can watch that in the video, that link I have shared already. I'm not going to go over it. You can also take this handout and go over the games, because I have given them in description with the comments, right? What is happening, who is playing what, etc., and why, etc. So you can go through this and it will be a great help to you. Okay, if you watch it like this. Now, what we are going to look at is, we are going to look at one more game, not the number 3 game. Number 3 game, to show it all the combinations, it will take a lot of time. Okay, so, and there are very good videos already available of this. Okay, so you can watch it. I will send you the link for number 3. Number 4 we will look at. Number 4 we will look at. Okay, Evergreen Game, Anderson, John Dufresne. Okay, that is the game. All right. So that is a Ivan's Gambit game. So let us go and look it. Okay, let me see whether I have it. Anderson versus Dufresne. Yeah, I think this is the one. Oh, no. This is E4, E5, F4. Okay. I think this is the one. Number 16, I think. Yeah, this is the game. Okay. So it started with E4, and Anderson was white and Dufresne was black. E4, E5, NF3, NC6. Bishop C4, Bishop C5. By now, you don't need an explanation for this, right? So, and then white plays. What does white play? What should white play in this position?
If it's the Evans Gambit, he has to be B4.
Yeah, you're right. The great opening, the beautiful opening, Evans Gambit, and white does play it. Okay, B4. So black captures it and white plays C3. So bishop goes back to A5. Okay, continuing to maintain. So what, maintain the pin on the pawn, so that if white plays D4, then the C3 pawn will be pinned. Okay, but white in any way goes ahead and plays D4. And black captures it. Okay, and now white cannot capture back. Okay, but white castles. White castles. Now what is white threatening? White is threatening to take the pawn now. Okay, and there are what happens if you take the pawn instead? If black takes the pawn instead, it actually leads to I mean, black can take it, but white gets a very good attack at the cost of the 2 pawns. So there are some games in the thing, you will be able to see it, but we are not going to diverge into that. We are going to see here what happens is, black knows that taking the pawn is not much help to it. Instead, he wants to and what? It will take some time to explain. So I will instead point you to a game. Okay, I will send you a video link. You can watch it. Okay. So instead, black knows that white is going to take the pawn, but instead of taking it on D4, because white will take on D4 and will get a great center, instead of that, black says that anyway I have taken a pawn extra, so I'm going to give you back on D3. So that when you take it, your position will not be great. So what will happen if queen takes it? Queen takes it. then also no problem. Black will play knight to f6. Okay. And if the bishop takes it, bishop would have gone away from the Italian diagonal. Okay. So what happens? White is not interested in taking the pawn. White is interested in attack. Okay. White is interested in attack. That is why he has sacrificed the pawn. Yeah.
If you will see that in that in that Gmail, in that PDF, Adolf told attack, always attack.
Yeah, exactly. He was a great attacking player. That is his quote. Attack, always attack. Because no matter whether it's white or black, he used to always attack. But he was a master. Attack means he was not careless. He was a great master. So he was attacking that way. Okay. So let us go back. So why does the queen come to b3? Because white is interested in attacking along this diagonal. Okay. So.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So instead of moving the queen, we can even move the
Move what?
G5.
Black? You are saying black?
No, sir, white. White to play before the queen. Yeah, this position.
Instead of that, what you will do? Knight to g5. Knight to g5 will not help you. Black will play knight to h6.
Oh.
Okay. So don't worry. Okay. So queen to b3 and then black plays queen to f6. Okay. Why queen to f6 is also eyeing this weak pawn here. Okay. The bishop is also a thing. And at the same time, queen has come to the rescue of this. And it is preventing this pawn from coming here. Okay. But not so. It looks like whether it is preventing. But actually it is.
Pawn is already under protection by two people.
Yeah, white is under protection with the pawn because the queen and the knight are protecting it.
But it is just a queen is developing. But white pushes this pawn anyway. Now what happens? What happens if knight takes it? What happens if black knight takes it? What would white do?
Knight takes, queen takes, and black will lose the f7 pawn. So the white will pin it.
That is right. If black takes knight to e5, then white will play rook to e1. Okay, pin the knight against the king.
Yeah. Sir, if he kills
This was in the video.
You kill it with your knight, and if he kills his queen, then you can get it to e1 and you will get a queen.
No, not after the queen has taken. Please remember. See, you can't allow this knight to come here because, see, now you cannot bring your rook here. There is no support for the rook. Queen will simply take the rook. And it will be checkmate.
Yeah.
It will be a checkmate.
So when the knight, what should happen is, if knight takes it, that time only you have to pin the knight. Okay. All right. Anyway, I'm just showing you what could have happened. So e5, queen goes to g6. Okay.
Sir.
Yeah.
And one more advantage for the white is when black kills the pawn with his knight.
Excuse me, sir.
You can make your rook go
Wait,
to
wait.
e1, and then his queen will be also blocked to kill the white pawn on c3.
Okay, I have muted everybody. I will allow you to speak only when you have a question, not when you have a comment. Okay. Only if you have a question, then only raise your hand and then I will think. Okay.
Can I say you something?
Wait, what is this? Okay, now you'll have to raise your hand and put a chat why you want to ask a question, then only I will unmute. Okay. All right, let us see. So queen goes to g6, right? e5, queen to g6. Now what does white play? Rook to e1, right? Attacking along the e5. And white, black cannot bring the knight to f6, so he brings it to e7. Okay. White placed the bishop to a3. Can you see now? Now what is going to happen? See, white is controlling two great diagonals with his bishops. So this is called as the bishop pair from hell, right? It is not yet because black can block it right now. There is a way, but if black does not do it, then it can become a really deadly bishop pair. Okay. So let us see what happens. White is aiming for that. Okay. Black plays b5. Okay. b5, and why black is giving up his one pawn that he had taken earlier. He's giving it back. And what his idea is, he's trying to slow down the attack. Okay. White is trying to slow down the attack if you take it. Okay. But instead of bishop takes it, queen takes it. Okay. And white attacks it with the rook. So queen comes to a4. Okay. And then black plays bishop to b6. Okay, because what was being threatened is that there were threats like bishop takes e7. Okay, then instead of bringing the king up, right, you would not want, because king will come up and then the knight will take it. If the knight takes it, then this bishop will be gone, right? So black is alert and brings his bishop back. Okay, fine. So far so good. Now white plays knight from b to d2. Okay, and black develops his bishop. Black develops his bishop. Fine. And white goes ahead and puts the knight in the center. Knight in the center. Okay. And black queen comes to f5. Now white takes this opportunity to capture the pawn, and there is a pin against the there is not a pin, but there is a chance that the knight will go to d6, check the king, discovered attack against the queen, right? So queen goes to h5. Queen goes to h5. And now at this point of time is when you see the brilliant combination comes up. Queen to h5 after 16 moves have happened. Okay, white has got an advantage. And it is time to attack because black's king is still in the center. Okay, and this is when one of the most beautiful combinations. This is called an evergreen game. Okay, this is called an evergreen game for a reason. Okay, because of the beautiful combination that Anderson unleashed here. Okay, what is the combination? See, normally you could have played many things here. You could have played knight to I don't know. I mean, knight to d6 was not, knight to d6 was an idea, checking the king and then sacrificing the knight. And if the pawn takes it, then the white pawn will also take it and again attack the knight. And then there were many things like this. Okay. Knight to d6 was an idea. And this is what is the general idea. Most people would have played it. But Anderson was a beautiful combinative genius. So he played not knight to d6. Knight to d6 would have resulted in getting a good attack for a pawn. Okay, but he played knight to f6 check, forking the king and the queen and forcing black to accept the knight, forcing black to kill the knight. And when he killed it, then obviously taking it with the he takes. Now the black knight on e7 is pinned. Okay, e7 is pinned, and there is a strong attack against this. So what can black? Black cannot castle anymore. Arav, what is your question? You can type your question. Or you just hold on for some time, okay, and then I will open up. Then we'll come back to the game. So black cannot castle anymore, but black plays the rook here because black is also threatening. What is black threatening now? After rook to g1, sorry, rook to g8, what is black threatening now? Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see it. Arav will see it. Why he wanted the knight to be taken. What is black threatening now? Black is threatening actually queen takes f3. The knight, black queen is threatening to take the f3 knight, and the pawn cannot take back because the pawn is pinned. Right? Pawn is pinned. But at this point of time, what does white do? White says, okay, you want to take my knight, take it. And black does take it. Now what is black threatening now? Black is threatening a mate on g2. Okay? Mate on g2. But why is Anderson allowing this much? Allowing him first his knight to be taken, now second knight to be taken, and a checkmate is being threatened. Okay? Yeah, he had a forced mate, and this is called as a evergreen mate that Anderson oversaw. Now there is a forced checkmate, absolutely forced checkmate. Okay, rook takes. Rook takes e7, check. Okay, black knight had to take it. We'll see what happens if he does not take it with the knight. Okay, and now comes the most brilliant move that Anderson played. Can you guess the move? Can you guess the move now? Yeah, queen to d7, absolutely correct. Sacrificing the queen. How much white has sacrificed? He has sacrificed a knight, a second knight, and a rook against a knight, and now he's sacrificing a queen also. Right? But he can do that only if he has got a forced mate. Otherwise, now black is going to finish white completely. Can you see this? There is a dub. These bishops are also looking like a bishop pair from hell. This queen is already there. Everything is there so much. Why did white sacrifice so much? Because bishop to f5 check. Double check it is. It is a double check. Please note, it is a double check. So double check means king has to move. Where can he move? If he moves to c6, then bishop to d7 checkmate. See, it is a checkmate. Right? So king cannot come to c6. He cannot go to c8. He cannot go to d8. So where does he go? He goes to e8. He goes to e8. Then bishop to d7 check. Now king goes to f8. It doesn't matter where goes to f8 or d8. What is the move? Bishop takes knight, and this is a checkmate. Right? So this is known as the evergreen game. Even now, all the grandmasters are completely awestruck by the combination that Anderson unleashed, starting with knight to f6 check. Okay, and Gary Kasparov has analyzed this game with so many lines and everything, worth some 8 or 10 pages worth of analysis just on this game. I mean, if you start Gary Kasparov's analysis of this game, you start playing on the chessboard now, it will take you 3 or 4 hours to just go through everything, all the variations, everything. Okay, but it is up to you. Matlab, maybe it is too much right now, but maybe in level 4, level 5, level 6 probably you can go through the analysis. It is available. It is a 10 beautiful analysis, not just of this game. I'm starting from much earlier. Okay, we did not see all the variations, but there are many variations. But this was the power of the combination, and Adolf Anderson was known for this combination. So if you watch the video that I had sent, my own recording of the previous L3, I have covered 2 more games where also his combinations come into picture. This is the game. This is one more, and the most famous game is this evergreen game, and there is also other game called as immortal game. Anderson Kaiseritsky, right? So yeah, I'm going to now allow all of you to unmute yourself and speak if you want, or if you have questions.
Sir,
Yeah.
in the game you showed just now, before the bishop giving, when the bishop gave check, when the when the king goes back to e8,
Yeah.
and when the bishop gives check, what happens if he comes to d8?
Then also it is checkmate.
Oh.
Or you could also checkmate with the pawn.
You could checkmate with the pawn also, correct. You could have even taken this, and this is also a checkmate. Yeah. He sacked everything. Yeah, he sacked everything, but we cannot sack everything, because most of the time our sacrifices are wrong. So you have to be
I
very.
think this should be an immortal game.
Yeah, so because the other game was already known as Immortal Game, so this was known as the Evergreen Game. Okay, so both these are continuing today. Even now, if you ask the grandmasters, they will say that, oh, is that Immortal Game, or there is a better Immortal? They will say, no, that was the Immortal Game and that was the Evergreen Game, and they still agree with it. Okay, so that is the power of Adolf Anderson. Okay, now a lot of Adolf Anderson games are available here. If you want to study, see this Lichess study, I will send you the link. Okay, so this has got 64 games of Adolf Anderson. I will just put it on the WhatsApp also, as well as on the team chat. So you can just you can bookmark it, and because I'm sure a lot of you will want to study the games of Adolf Anderson, at least a few, including the ones 4 games, etc. So at least the summary game, I mean, not all the variations, but at least the main game is already available here, entered as a thing. So you can always look at it. If you want, you can clone the study and you can make your own study out of it. Okay. So, but these are all available. I have posted it. Okay. So he was a brilliant guy. You watch, I will also send you some. You can also watch videos on YouTube also on Adolf Anderson. You will find it easily. Okay. I will send you this same game, right? Actually, in this, when was this? I think in last year, Agad Mathur, our chess friend, he made a video out of this game, but he made a story, okay, fake story out of it. I mean, purposely, he said, it is like that. He said Magnus Carlsen was challenged by some monk to play a game, and then he was told that if he wins, then I think there was last year, there was some, I think it was April Fool. Yeah, I remember it. This year, not last year. On 1st of April, if you see, there was a April Fool's prank going on that Magnus Carlsen had quit chess. Okay, and Agad Mathur also made a video saying that why he has quit chess and all. So actually, that game that he has used it for, that April Fool's prank, is this game. Okay, but he made it appear as if white was black was Magnus Carlsen and white was a monk somewhere that he met. Okay, and then he took a bet and all. But later on, I mean, obviously later on, 2 days later and all, you'll come to know. But the game that he has used is this, and these. So that's why I'm going to send you the link. Very nicely, he has commented on this game. So forget about the name. Only thing that he has withheld is the names. Okay, he has not used this as Anderson and Dufresne, but he has said it as Carlsen playing someone else. Okay. So that is it. I think so. That is it for today. Enjoy the games of Anderson. Beautiful. You will find him on Wikipedia also. You will find him, his story. He was a professor of mathematics. Okay, and you will find that many of these chess masters.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Has anybody actually done something like this before? Even besides Anderson, has anybody?
Yeah, after that, there are beautiful sacrificial mates are there like that, but nothing is as beautiful or as original as this one. Okay, so that is why it is known as. But there are there. See, now what has happened is that after that, so many players started playing. See, these 1850, 1860, very few players used to play. Okay, so that time there was no practice, and considering that he did this when there were so few players, that is why is more important. But now there are so many tournaments, so many things. So there are games like this.
That was weird.
So
back.
Yeah.
So can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Anoop just asked a question. Like, if you recommend, who is better, Adolf or Magnus?
It is anyone's guess. You can it is for you to think. Okay, but we cannot compare like these players from the past with today. Okay, it is anyone's guess. It is difficult. You can't say it like that. Okay, but what I was saying is that yeah, do enjoy these games. Do enjoy these games. Watch these games. So you may find them on even YouTube. Even Lichess might have some videos. because Lichess has got this watch and library of videos, right? Video library. Under that also you may find something. I'm not sure, so you may find it. Yeah.
Uncle, maybe the thing.
Yeah, Immortal game. See, Immortal game, Evergreen game, they are also available as videos here itself. In
Escape the check.
What do we do on Chess King? Homework for L3?
Chess King is what you need to do. So why don't I set up? In fact, I will set up the thing for, because today the network is also bad, so I don't want to again continue here. Okay, so let us. I will set up something for this week where I will explain what are the assignments on Chess King. Okay, not today
Okay.
because the network is bad. It is raining, light, power is off, etc. So let us do something. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow I will set up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that is it then, right?
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
See you. Enjoy.
Bye,
Bye,
sir.
sir.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.